Now let's go to our second interview today. It's with Anthony DeTono, CEO of Tenax Therapeutics.
Tony, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, my pleasure.
Now, Tenax is focusing on identifying and developing therapeutics that address diseases with high unmet medical needs. Your initial focus is in the area of cardiopulmonary diseases with a phase 2 trial that began in late 2018. What should investors expect in regards to this trial over the next 6 to 9 months?
Well, I think the interesting aspect of what we're doing is that we have a relatively cash-efficient clinical trial. We'll actually be able to read out the results by the end of the year, so a fairly short-term value proposition in terms of an investment and a potential significant value inflection point.
What is the primary endpoint for this trial?
It's a hemodynamic primary endpoint. So patients will present at the hospital. They'll have a right heart catheterization. They'll have a 24-hour infusion of levosimendan. And then at the end of that first day, they'll have a second right heart catheterization. If they have a sufficient drop in their pulmonary wedge pressure, then they'll be eligible to be rolled over into the placebo-controlled trial aspect. They'll receive either placebo or levosimendan for the next 5 weeks. At the end of the 6th week, they'll come back to the hospital to have a third right heart catheterization. And so it's the pre-right heart catheterization compared to the post-right heart catheterization. And the trial is powered so that with 36 patients, we can detect a significant change over placebo.
Now, relative to your peer group, you have a fairly low market cap. What is the essential value proposition then?
I think the biggest reason is because this is a compound that has been on the market for many years. It's approved in over 60 countries outside of the United States. It's been used in over 1.5 million patients. There are 1,000 or more citations in the clinical literature regarding levosimendan. So this is a drug that is really, from a lot of aspects, de-risked. There's a lot known from an efficacy standpoint. There's obviously a lot known from a safety standpoint. So it's not like we're, doing Lewis and Clark kind of work in therapeutic research. It really is a well-known pathway.
How big is the market opportunity for pulmonary hypertension, both domestically and globally?
Well, domestically, in 2016, 4 or 5 products generated in excess of $5 billion in sales. And the interesting part of that is the products that are approved are only approved in one segment of pulmonary hypertension. The World Health Organization classifies pulmonary hypertension in 5 different groups. That group that generated $5 billion in sales only represents 3% of the patients, whereas the group that we're following represents over 60% of the patients. So this is an enormous market opportunity from a commercial standpoint.
What separates your approach from current standards of care?
In group 2 pulmonary hypertension, there are no drugs that have been shown effective. There are no drugs that have been approved. So in many ways, our drug on approval will be the standard of care. The therapeutic difference is that the majority of the drugs that are out there right now are primarily vasodilators. And levosimendan has vasodilatation properties as well, but it's also a calcium sensitizer. So it helps the heart contract more fully and relax more fully. And when you do that, what you're doing is increasing cardiac output.
You've assembled a world-class team, both at the executive level and through your scientific advisory board. Tell us about some of the key players.
Well, I think one of the most important players for us is the chairman of our scientific advisory board, and the principal investigator is a physician that operates out of Northwestern. His name is Dr. Stuart Rich, arguably one of the world's, if not the world's leading authority in pulmonary hypertension. The other thing that's unique about Dr. Rich is he has a fairly extensive working knowledge of levosimendan. So he really has been able to hand select the institutions that will participate in the trial, as well as the investigators. So I would single out Dr. Rich as one of the key players in our team.
You recently did a raise for $10 million at above market. You said that is enough capital to get you through phase 2. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, the capital that we have will be able to enroll this trial and probably bleed into 2020. And the importance of that is with the data in hand, we'll be able to go to the FDA and determine with them, and most assuredly with Dr. Rich, what the path forward in terms of phase 3 would be.
What's the main takeaway for investors, or why should they consider owning your stock today, Tony?
So I think the most important aspect is that, as you indicated, it's an attractive valuation. And then when you get below the surface, what we have is a unique molecule whose mechanism of action actually hand in glove overlaps with the symptoms that these pulmonary hypertension HFpEF patients present with. We have a unique trial in as much as there's a lead-in dose so that only responders to levosimendan will actually be randomized into the placebo-controlled trial. And, we expect to have our results by the end of the year. So cash efficient, short-term, long-term value results.
Makes a lot of sense to me. Thanks for being with us today, Tony.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Now, to get more information about Tenax Therapeutics, call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist or email us at info@redchip.com.